Chats with Trae. Chats with Trae. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Chats with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, and I am so excited to have this guest on this week, Mr. Isiah Anderson. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
What's good with you, Trae?
Hey, man, I've been talking to you for a little bit now, like, hey, I got to get you on.
You're
I
right.
got to get you on.
You're right.
So I'm so glad we're able to make this happen today.
Yeah, I would have been here anytime. You just hit me up. I'm good.
That's what community's all about, y'all. That's real community love. So, you know what? Funny enough, I'm so glad that I've timed this interview with great timing for your whole new venture. Please tell us a little bit about the new venture, and then we'll go back into your backstory. But I'm just excited for folks to hear about this.
Well, what's brand new is Acts on Stage. It's a theater company. My partner and I, Michelle Lang Raymond, and myself, were blessed enough to be, honored with a grant to do more work in theater. I've been with Parks and Rec for a long time. I've been doing theater pretty much all my life. And in each stage, it's always been something that's handcuffed me to say, hey, you can only go this far. And, sure enough, God blessed us with enough, funding and community and engagement and support that we got a theater company now, Acts on Stage, located in West Seattle. It's a full-fledged theater building, the whole nine. We got programs, and it's, we want to focus on people of color and people of faith.
I love this.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that you're so right in terms of what is needed right now in the world of theater. We know that with COVID, theater was hit hard, and a lot of creativity in terms of the creative sector has had to do innovation right now to find a way to make things work. So I'm excited. We're going to be talking more about Acts on Stage later in the show. But I want to get to your background, your history. You have such a vast background, like you just said, in theater, in being on the stage. Let's hear a little bit about your humble beginnings.
Humble for sure. I came to Seattle from Joliet, Illinois in 1984, and I was just coming to visit. And I always tell people I've been visiting ever since. So it's good to come here, and I was blessed enough to run into and get involved with people who are already engaged, the Darcel Lorraines, Steve Sneeds, Umeme, Rico Bembry, Laura Chiora Dye, Sherry Saretse. I could go on and on. All those folks who you go some places and people don't welcome a newcomer, an outsider, but not Steve and those guys. It was real cool that they brought me into Langston Hughes Cultural Arts Center at the time.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed at the work that they were doing, that they were allowing black kids to grow, on stage and on all levels of stage, not just in front, but backstage. And if you were an artist, you worked on costumes, set, all those things. And so just being able to do that, and I've been a performer all my life. So before I left Illinois, that's all I did. I danced and, I performed back home. But when I got here, it was, man, the stage got bigger, So I danced, I lip synced, I did comedy, you know what I mean? And comedy is just who I am. It's not what I do.
Right.
So I was, that's a gift. And so I just do that because that's who I am. But I was able to, get on with Parks and Recreation, and, they didn't really have a theater program, but Steve Sneed did, and he worked for Parks. And so though they didn't know they had a theater program, they had it. Mm-hmm. And Steve Sneed made sure he and those, his family, his wife, and all of them just kind of made sure it was, grounded in the community, that this is what we do. And that they allowed me to be a part of that family. I'm just blessed.
Oh, so beautiful.
I'm just blessed.
It really is a beautiful story, and I think that what you just described, so much of this, the fabric of our culture, the character that we have here in Seattle and up here in the Pacific Northwest is so unique.
Without a doubt.
I hear folks say that all the time, and there's been plenty of folks like yourself who came up for a visit or came to visit a family member, or, you know what I mean? Oh, I was just going to fly through.
That's right.
And end up staying because they find their home, they find their people. And it sounds like you did with theater and Steve Sneed and the family. Such an iconic family in the Central District, for sure. Definitely, I know them, love them. And I'll ask you this, because so much of the work that folks know you in the city for now are the youth and all of their amazing musicals that have been put
Summer
on.
Musical.
Yeah, it is a fabric of Seattle, the Teen Summer Musical, and you know I have to get into it. I really want to hear about how that started and where you came on and how you helped it push it forward.
Again, a baton passed to me. So Steve and Rico and all those guys who made me and those guys have been doing plays at Langston for years, you know, as far back as, you know, Black Arts West and Madrona Theater Group, you know, and so they had been, so when they got to Langston, they just, you know, casually moved it in. So they had been doing productions with young people there, but we got more and more young people, and the stage at Langston got smaller and smaller. You know, and so, and Steve and some other people who were a part of different boards in the city, Vivian Phillips, said, hey, why don't we try to get these kids to a bigger stage? And so when they moved it to the Moore Theater for 1 year, and then we were at the Paramount Theater for 7 years. And so it was just an opportunity to give young black kids an opportunity to star in productions that they were told, we don't have a lead role for you, you know? And so we would take these, and I think I started it, Darcel and I were directing, and I just kind of said, hey, I got this show I want to do, right? And we were going to do Cinderella. And so when I told Darcel, I said, Darcel, what do you think about Cinderella, love story with the sound of Motown, right? And Darcel was like, okay. And Steve was like, ooh, go for it. You know, and so Rico kind of chimed this whole thing as his, and I stole it. Rico said, we take these traditional productions and we chocolatize them.
Oh, I love it.
You know, and what we do is we put a urban spin on a lot of these productions, and all of our kids, all of our stars, you know, our leads are black kids, black boys and girls who are gifted in ways that when they finally finish their show, people swore they went to school to do this. And the truth of the matter is that, you know, when you are directed and trained by someone who looks like you know, who can, you know, identify with what you've been through and where you're coming from, we bring out the gifts that we already know that are there, and you don't.
Yeah.
And so that's really the history of the Teen Summer Musical, and we've gone on to make sure that these kids get to perform on stages most folks only get to visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've been on them.
I mean, they've been on them and they've been killing them. Let me just say that, because not have they only been on them. I mean, these productions have been phenomenal, honestly. As a theater kid, as true thespian myself, I will tip my hat off to every production because I see the grind. You see that it's also so driven by these youth who have a real passion for creativity, and I love that. You know, for me, I started modeling and acting and all that when I was 9 at ABC Kids and Teens, and it wasn't until Garfield High, you know, working with Justin Emeka, Felicia Loud, like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't until, like what you just said, I had instructors and mentors who looked like me, who I could respect in the field. Oh, I was so, Felicia Loud, my favorite, when I was in 5th grade, man. And I saw her in Rolling Thunder, Hear My Cry, and I mean, I was like on a school field trip, and I was like, straight up, that's what I want to do with my life. Like, she's the reason that I even started really taking it seriously as a craft. And honestly, Seattle's so full of so many gems. How do you feel really being able to influence the next generation of these talented stars?
Responsible. You know, it's a responsibility. It's you know, again, I was gifted with it, and it's only right. You know, when you mention Felicia Loud and Danae Simone Williams and, you know, Jace and, you know, Black and all those cats, we all grew up at Langston together. You know, although I'm not originally from Seattle, I got to Langston and all those cats was just young cats doing their thing as well. And so it was important. I'll say this, what was really important, what takes me to a level in which I didn't realize I could get to, was that Steve and those guys implanted in us the importance of team. The importance of team. And so the reason the Teen Summer Musical is what it is because it had a team from the beginning, and it has a team now. So when I start thinking about when people go, oh, I say you getting ready to do the show? Yeah, we are getting ready to do a show. Myself, Michelle Lang Raymond, my music director, Danae Simone, my stage manager, Curtis Riggins, my sound tech. You know, we got costumes and by you know, black artists, and my makeup is by black artists, and my band is all black, and okay, we had one white dude. He was dope though. He was dope. He was the boom, the boom. He was dope. But everything, you know what I mean? And so we want to surround these kids with a team of individuals who look like them and who can just bring out of them what we know they have, right?
Yes.
A lot of times they, you know, other people will pacify them, you know, and tell them, oh, that's good. And then they get with us and we be like, that's all right. We're going to get you to good, right? And our job is to get you to great, right? And so just pushing that team, and again, we all feel the same responsibility. It was given to us, not for us to hold on to it until we die and nobody else runs with it. You know, the Teen Summer Music took a 5-year hiatus, not because of anything we did, but because the Parks Department was like, we got to step away. And the community was like, that ain't cool. Yeah. And for me, I felt like, did I let the program down? Because if I leave and it doesn't keep going, I haven't succeeded, right? It's got to go when there's not Isaiah. It's got to go when there's not Danae. It's got to go when it's not Michelle and all the rest of us, right? It's got to keep going. And so my responsibility to make sure this program keeps going and programs like it is huge, and I don't take it lightly.
Yeah, you know what? It is so huge. I mean, honestly, we understand there's a real void when it comes to creative space, especially for our youth. I mean, there really is. They have been dwindling arts down in public school system for decades, right? Because every time public schools are getting hit with a financial concern, a financial crisis of any kind, what ends up happening is they go straight for arts.
Without a doubt.
Almost every time. So we've seen this real concentration of like art opportunities within schools. And so it's great because this program being so embedded in community is super important, you know? And so that brings me back to Acts on Stage. And before we go to break, I know Acts on Stage has a new show coming up. Carlos is going to make sure we get it on the screen so folks can see the website. But I want you to go ahead and tell us about this new production you have in the works.
We are, Acts on Stage, will be presenting and producing 12 Angry Men, a theater production that was once a movie in 1947. 1947 they did it, and then they did it again in 1997. And so what it is just a story about 12 men at that time, all white men, who were trying to decide the innocence or guilt of a Hispanic kid. And then 50 years later, they did it with a diverse cast, and they were still trying to decide the guilt or innocence of a Hispanic kid. Well, we are, for the very first time, going to do an all-black cast of 12 Angry Men, where they're going to try to decide the guilt or innocence of a young black kid, right? And so people will get an inside look on how we, from our culture, 12 different black people, can look at something and see something different because of their experiences. And you know, the fact that you won't ever, that I can know of, see an all-black jury anywhere, it's iconic. And so we're gonna push it. We're calling it a monumental, right, production.
Nice.
And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna record it. So because of COVID, things are different. So of course we wanted to bring it to the stage and have people come and sit live, because there is no substitution for live theater. Yet we are going to be able to record this. We're going to send it out. November 22nd is going to be the airing for everyone to see it. Everyone. But we're encouraging people to go over to our website, actsonstage.com, and you can get information on how you can host your own watch party, your 12 Angry Men watch party. And it's going to be a huge event. We just want the community and everybody to be a part of it.
Oh my goodness, This is so phenomenal. I'm excited. I'll definitely make sure that I'm tuning in on November 21st. Yes. And thank you so much for sharing that. I'm really excited. We got more to talk about because I want to bring a lot of this discussion into what we're seeing now in terms of the movement. So we definitely got more to talk about. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Turners.
Hi, we're the Turners. My name is Vicky Turner.
My name is Marlon Turner. We met on the campus of University of Louisiana Monroe, and was, immediately attracted. Come on.
I'm just kidding.
Black marriage, man, and black love is really important. Seeing this, kind of the building of the black family is definitely something that we need to continue. There was a lot of pressure, man, for this engagement, and a lot of pressure.
But love language. So you can't expect every person to do the same thing or do what you want them to do. All you can do is learn again their love language and express the things that you like, and hopefully you guys can meet somewhere in the middle.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بلشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
We're right here at East Precinct. It doesn't get any closer than this right now. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. As a small independent media company, we rely on the financial support of individuals and business members to stay on the front lines of the news that's important to you.
Welcome back, everybody, to Chats with Trae. I'm excited to continue my discussion with Isiah Anderson. Now I can say of Acts on Stage.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. Another amazing new venture you have before you, yes. Obviously with another amazing team of individuals. And it's exciting because I think that there are so many amazing creatives we have within the city of Seattle. And I'm glad to know that your team is part of that. And yes. You guys are continuing this creation because we do need it. And so I'm excited. November 21st, I'll be looking on.
22nd.
22nd.
You 21st, you'll be by yourself.
Okay, no, I won't do that.
22nd, you'll be with the rest of us.
There we go. November 22nd, yes. I will be logging on to make sure, and then I can also do a watch party. So I'll probably be doing that.
You can do a watch party, yes.
Okay, right on, right on. Well, I really want to ask you, about this movement. I mean, every guest I have on here, every sector of industry, every piece that we know of as an American piece of fabric, right? That creates the framework that we live on, the things that we know to be true, understanding our shared values. So much of that has changed yes. in 2020.
Absolutely.
And so I got to ask you about, your perspective of this movement. I know that you're involved with a lot of the youth prevention of, gun violence and things like that. So I really want to ask you how you're feeling in this movement in terms of the intersection of your work with youth and with the arts.
The movement that continues to go on, it's like, every once in a while, it has light on it. Even though it continues to move, sometimes they shine a light on it and then they'll turn the light to something else. We'll keep moving and nobody notices what we're doing until something big happens or something traumatic happens and the lights shine on it again. Mm-hmm. And I think this time it was with George Floyd, with all of that, was huge because, and I did a post, and I'm not the Facebook dude, so I don't really do posts, you know what I mean? But it was so heavy on my heart that I did a post, and I simply explained the reason why everybody could see it this time is because the world stopped all at one time. Everybody's world stopped at the same time, and it was due to COVID, but everybody's world stopped. And so in past, where a young black man might be killed by a police officer here in Seattle, and we might just beef about it because the rest of the world is still moving. And when I say we, I mean us in this immediate, community, because Bellevue would keep focusing.
Yep.
Renton would keep focusing, and Federal Way and Tacoma, all of those things would keep moving. But when everything stopped at the same time and all eyes were on the same thing, I think there was a little more understanding, a little more awakening, if you will. People were like, this is still happening? You know, people were upset with the commissioner of the football league who was like, you know, now they were like, well, why now? Why now? Because everybody black in his world is rich, right? In his world, everybody black is rich. They live like him. Some live better than him.
Yeah.
So for him to think that they out getting shot, he's going, no, not in my world. And even his world stopped. And so when his world stopped and he saw that, you mean even my players got to live through this? You know, so it's important for us to recognize, I don't know how we do it in the future, how we plan a stop, right? So that we could all look at the same thing at the same time, but it's got to be done. I pray it's never another pandemic,
Right.
but it's something we got to manufacture as a community to cause a stop so that we can all sit and read from the same book on the same page, you know, at the same time.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
nobody going, I read it already, you know, so I'm gonna wait for y'all. No, ain't no waiting. We all traveling the same road together.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. I think what you said is so right, and it's so important because part of what I've been deeming are this kind of faction of folks that are like the awakeners, right? And I think so much of what you just described in terms of that stop is what really helped to force awakeners into to being birthed right now, right? Where so much of it is now retrospect of somebody else's lived experience. And you can do that kind of comparison based on like, dang, I didn't even know that that's what people go through. Okay, if that was me, or when that was me, right? Even some folks that can put themselves in a very specific situation. When that was me, this is how I experienced it, right? I've been having some really great discussions around that, and especially around how the youth are really centered in this movement. Now, I know you work with youth all the time, and you just had programs at Garfield, right?
Yes.
And so for you, you know, understanding that youth are really at so much of the forefront of this, how have you been responding to that?
I think the importance for me is that I'm recognizing that youth are being exposed to way more than we've ever been exposed to, but I don't think they are being guided through it. Being exposed to something is one thing, you know. It's like you send a kid into a candy store and you be like, yeah, go on, help yourself. And they eat everything and get sick, and you be like this, well, I mean, how about it now, this time I hold your hand as we walk through the candy store. You don't mess with them candy corns, Pimpin'. They real sugary, and they gonna get you, right? And so I think that, you know, our job is to help guide them through, because they already see it. You know, as kids, when I was a kid, you know, my mother, you know, they were dealing with stuff. We just knew she was dealing with something. We didn't know exactly what it was because we weren't exposed to it, and they were able to keep it from us. We're not able to keep anything. Kids see stuff before we see it. And then we got to go, what is that? Right? How many times are you doing that, right? And so as long as I think we make the best attempt we can to guide, I think they're receptive to it. You know, a lot of kids just don't want to be pulled somewhere. You know, it's the difference between pulling somebody and guiding somebody. You know, and so I feel like that's our job right now.
You know what, I couldn't agree more. So much of what we've been doing, you know, on the level of terms of on the ground and organizing protests, and so much of that work has really been, you know, youth led, right? Where it's like, hey, you know, young 20-something folks, 20 to 30 are the ones really like, all right, we're staying up all night, we're about to figure this out, you know what I'm saying? And I feel that White King and I, what we were really doing was exactly that. Was so much of it was just like guiding based on our own lived experience, you know, our relationships, our networks, the ways that we have done things in the past. And it was really inspiring to see that. I think for me, you know, as a thespian myself, I gotta say, one of the things that I'm really inspired by right now is the explosion of art that is actually depicting and telling the story, shaping this narrative of what this movement really means. So I want to just ask you, because I mean, I'm like, look, that's where it comes into a poetry slam. I mean, these young folks, they got written works, they want to do stuff, they want to do dialogue scenes or monologues. What is it? What kind of opportunities can Acts on Stage maybe provide in the future for this kind of exploration?
So glad you brought that up, because Acts on Stage, we actually have 5 programs that we're pushing right now. One is called Renaissance 20. And Renaissance 20 is a vocal performance class that'll be led by Zach Bruce Jr., right? The one and only. And so he'll be heading that class, and it's a 6-month class. They can go to axonstage.com and find that information. We also have a program that we're going to be looking for people who are artists, poets, if you will, and they can, you know, submit their stuff. And what we're going to do is help them get their stuff out, right? A lot of people have been sitting around with material. Man, I wrote this in 97.
Right.
You was 4? you know what I mean? And so they got all this stuff. So we have a program where they can do that. We're going to just have so much going on because we know that young people are starving, right? And we want to be that theater grocery store, right? With that nice organic groove, you know? And so we want them to come in and we want them to feel welcome. Again, Michelle Raymond and I, again, this wouldn't happen without the support of so many people. So I don't know if you know Dr. Tanya Pettiford-Waite.
Oh, come on now.
Dr. T, she is so instrumental in what we're doing. We literally have an ongoing call with her, like once a month, just to say, hey, this is what we're doing again, this is where we are, how do you feel about it, what do you think? And so just being inspired by her, we're gonna continue to, you know, open up as many programs as we can at Axe on Stage.
I mean, it's beautiful, honestly, and it's so needed in the community. I know, you know, Nana Kabibi and I, we talk all the time. So, I mean, she's like, look, New Black is ready to collaborate, you know what I mean? So there's opportunity for that. And I think that that's one of the things that I feel the CD really inspires me, even to this day. I mean, we talk about gentrification and everything else, but it's the relationships that come from our community, because what you're describing can't happen without those relationships.
Without those relationships,
you know,
absolutely.
It's so true. And I think that even when we talk about the youth, one of my big factors, like just this week, I was on a panel at KNKX with South Seattle Emerald, and it was led by youth. And it was all about voting, but I was so inspired by their questions because they were so on point. And I was like, man, all right, these youth is getting, they're getting with it. I mean, they are really educating themselves. I think one of the greatest things, even for me, and doing the morning update show with Omari and just staying on top of a lot of these issues that are so important to our community, is that now the eyes are on all of it, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, and I think that youth are like, nah, we're not trying to let another politician slip by us. We're not going to let another decision slip by us. We're on it. And I feel that these eyes on all of the working parts and moving parts may change a lot of how these parts move. I want to ask you about that.
It will, and people go like this, oh, times are changing. No, times have changed.
Yeah.
That is a done deal. Times have changed. People have to get used to what we are living in right now. And you know what I mean? It's one thing to be blessed. It's another thing to recognize that blessing.
Yeah.
Right? So many people got just like blessings off on the wayside that, hey, go back to it, right? And so we're finding that we have to do things now. And as Black people, we've always been the most creative anyway. Yeah. So this ain't new to us, because we true to this.
Right.
Right, but it is still hard because we live in a world that's not so creative.
Right.
And so having that be the case right now, I think, yeah, this movement, this time we're in is important for us to all stay focused.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we end the interview, I really want to get to some of your work that really, I've seen you in all these photos. Look, Dre Franklin, Build 206, you're over here, you're doing, I mean, all of the, there's a lot of programs that need mentors, and I see you. And I was like, oh yeah, I got to hit him with this, because it's so impactful to have those direct connections with youth. And I just want you to be able to speak a little bit to why you give some of your life force to that work.
And it's going to sound like super cliche. I do it because it was done for me, right? And just being raised by a single mother, and not that my father wasn't involved. My father and I have an absolutely awesome relationship. I love that man. But that they gave so much. And, and they didn't give it with the expectation of me giving something back to them, but that me giving something forward to others. And so, I just love doing that. And I find myself doing things that I walked out the house not planning to do, but do. A real quick story. I walk out the door the other day and I'm just getting ready to go, hobnob around in the mall just to look at stuff. And I see a young brother in there with his 2 sons, and he is buying them shoes, and they're telling him, oh, I wear a 9. The other one says, no, I wear a 9.5. I said, brother, man, size them up. Don't take their word for it, you know? And just that he was so engaged with them, and I'm asking him how they doing in school, and they were like, we're doing good. He was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make sure they're doing good in school. I said, my man, and again, I didn't walk out the door with the intention, but I went to the young lady that was helping them, and I said, hey, whatever his sons want for our shoes, I'm gonna buy them. Just, you know, just do that, right? And she was like, are you sure? Yeah, I said it. Don't make me change my mind, because, you know, I don't know how much the shoes gonna cost yet. So just, you know, so let's just make that happen. But, you know, it was something that was done. I walked out of there and I was like, blessings, right? Blessings upon blessings. And so, you know, that those 2 young men and his dad are going to now move forward with giving. The reason Build, Brothers United in Leadership Development, we do what we do is for that purpose, right? And every other organization I'm involved with, my church, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, Pastor Jeffrey is a man about community, and he's about making sure you leave something, right? We can't take it with us, so quit acting like it belonged to you right now. Right? It belongs to somebody else. Just make sure it's taken care of when they get it.
That's
you know?
right.
So that's the important thing for me.
You know what? And to be honest, I am so 100% sure that all the young men that you're really working with in that regard feel that too. Feel that genuine passion coming from you, because I think so much of what is transformative in young folks' lives is literally the sincerity that somebody comes with. You know what I'm saying? Being truly, authentically themselves.
Yeah.
And you've always been. Every time I see you.
I don't know nobody else. You hear me? I've been practicing and working on this cat for so long. I like him too. He all right with me. So
you have always been. So I'm so thankful. And I just got to say this too. Sometimes in community, folks are like, well, you know, you lost the ties, you ain't been around. What I love about all of us, and what is so unique about the CD South End, this like real family here in Seattle, is that there's no love lost ever. And that it doesn't matter. It transcends time. It goes beyond anything, right? And the real love of like, hey, man, that's so-and-so, that real love is there.
That's right.
So I thank you so much for sharing your love on Chats with Trae today. It's been a real pleasure.
It is an
honor.
honor.
You kept me laughing too. He's gonna do that. Man, that's great. All right, before we get out of here, where can people find you?
ActsOnStage.com. Listen, go to the website, but we also got an Instagram, we got a Facebook page. You can hit me up personally at iAnderson@ActsOnStage.com. Now, I might not respond to you. Okay, I will. So hit us up, y'all. Just check us out, man. We brand new, and we gonna do what we do.
Awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much. And you guys, look forward to Acts on Stage. They are going to be hitting the town with all of their amazing productions. I'm excited because we definitely have a void in Seattle when it comes to the arts. So it's great to know that there are some real pioneers continuing that path, trailblazing it for all of us to see and to experience. And for those of you out there, once again, who are really looking for a place to bring your brilliance into the movement. You heard us talk about a couple of great organizations today. Acts on Stage, they have some programs where you can actually channel all of your creativity, and then also Build 206. If you're an older person out there or younger person that's looking for a place to connect, check out Build 206. I mean, they're another great organization doing amazing work right here in our community. And to be honest, it's going to take amazing people to continue that work. So thank you so much for watching Chats with Trae today. Stay tuned, because you guys know next Friday, it's coming back for you at 2 p.m. So I thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. Peace.